How are we, folks? Sorry about last night. I had a bit of a computer issue last night, and hopefully it will fix this morning. We'll see what happens. I'll get a hold of Vincenzo a little later on today and see if he can't sort me out. But yeah, a bit of a computer issue. I was going to have Wade Nordhausen on last night from Billboard Battalion, but unfortunately, it never eventuated. He did give me a call late last night, by which time I'd already put my head down. So I will give him a ring back this morning, and I'll see if we can't make it tonight that Wade comes on. Wade Nordhausen, of course, with Billboard Battalion, is basically a voice for farmers in this country, and well worthwhile having a listen to Wade. He's got an awful lot of facts and figures on what the government are doing to our farming land, particularly dairy land, which is not just dairy land, but that's Wade's focus. He has a dairy farm down in, I think, northern Victoria, and has a focus toward that, but farming in general. So if you're not up with Wade, then hopefully we'll get him on tonight for a bit of a chat. I've been watching the conflict in the Middle East, and it's bloody disgusting. Good morning, Gay. How are you? I guess you're up late. I'm up early. That's how it sort of works. Hello, Paul. I'm got to be a bit careful about what you say, because there are fucking crazy people everywhere, and they are likely to come and do crazy things if you say something that they don't agree with, which doesn't stop me saying it, by the way, and I'm about to say some things that I'm sure a lot of Jewish people aren't going to agree with. The Israelis are childish. The Israelis are acting, as they usually do, as the bully. Now, I understand October 7 last year, 1,200 Jewish people lost their lives in an attack from Hamas across the border from Gaza. I understand. Current figures are close to 50,000 people have paid for that Hamas attack with their lives in Gaza. 1,200 versus 50 plus thousand. And now, the Israeli government's deciding to spread the war further to Hezbollah and into Lebanon, and a ground war has commenced in Lebanon. Iran, of course, has fired a couple of hundred rockets, and a few landed. Between the Iron Dome and the Americans, they say they managed to clear up better than 60-70% of those ballistic missiles that were fired from Iran. News from Iran overnight is that they had to retaliate given what Israel has been doing. Carte blanche through the Middle East. They have been sending rockets, assassinating, the top, if you like, the top echelons of the command and control of Hezbollah. And look, it's exactly the right thing to do if you're in a war. But right now, it appears to me that the Israelis are just a schoolyard bully who has got out of control. Way, way, way out of control. Now, because Iran have decided to fire some missiles back at Israel after Israel have been attacking, well, should we say Iran's other interests? Now Iran has said, well, we're done. We fired our little bit. We're done. We've had our say. They've made their show of force, which didn't really hurt the Israelis in any way, shape, or form. Might have put a few holes in a few runways. May have blown up a few aircraft. Don't know how many people may or may not have died, because the Israelis won't tell you that anything has happened there. What they will tell you they're going to do is decimate every other part of the friggin' world. Oh, we've got to retaliate against Iran. They sent 200 rockets at us. Well, hang on, you've been killing them off for the last 3 years, and they haven't really done a great deal. And I've got to be honest, get it over and done with, you dickheads. Kill yourselves if that's what you want to do. Leave your part of the Middle East a smoking friggin' wreck, and let the rest of us get on with fixing this world. The Jewish interests, the Israeli interests, I think, are cockeyed. I don't see the Israelis as suing for peace at all, ever. They've made it very clear since they were given this power at the end of World War II, this power of anti-Semitism, let's call it. And it was a power that was given to them. It's a power that's been engineered for the rest of the world to swallow, in my opinion. Because their actions do not back up their words. I believe that the people in control of Israel at the moment are not working for humanity. They are working in exactly the opposite direction to bring about the end of humanity. They may not be the only ones doing it, but they are leading by example at the moment, in my opinion, which is sad, very sad. Yes, I understand there is a great many people who think that speaking about Israelis or Jews in general is, oh, you can't do that. It upsets them too much. And they do tend to get their nose out of joint and take a set against you. Well, I've had that set against me now for some years because I haven't come out and wholeheartedly supported the Jewish nation. That's because I do my own research. I like to look deeply into things and find out what I can, and I have. So I urge you to do the same. And before you think, woe the Israelis, just take a look at what they say versus what they do. In peacetime. In wartime, they do exactly what they say. We're coming to get you. And they do. And they are very, very, very good at it. I read an article a couple of hours ago that said 8 Israelis have died so far in Lebanon in the ground war there. 8. I wonder how many Lebanese folks have died while the Israelis move into Lebanon. Significantly more than 8. And I don't know that all of them would be associated with Hezbollah. While the Jews claim that they target carefully, I think we can see by what they've done in Gaza, it is indiscriminate what they're doing. Indiscriminate shelling and bombing. How is the world ever going to level up when we have these kind of madmen in charge? And we just sit back and watch and hope that it doesn't come and affect us too much. What to do about it? Well, we get back to you standing up and doing something about it. We get back to you being the person to represent us. We get back to you keeping our values. And you being strong enough to stand up in a parliament and represent us. But there aren't many of you out there willing to do that. I really wish there were. It's been very disappointing to me to watch how many people talk a big game, but as soon as it's put on them to actually do something, they do nothing. They disappear. They go back into their shell and keep whinging about why won't somebody do something. Well, you're the one that has to do something. We are the ones that have to do something. And I'm doing my little bit here, and I'm prepared to do a lot more. There's no point in me wandering out the front of the group and being shot down by myself and flagging the fact that there might be one or two coming behind me. We need to stand together. We need to unite. And from that unification will come our power, our strength, our will. can change the world, folks. And I believe Australians in particular can lead the world in change. Why? We're a young nation. And a lot of us won't take any shit from anybody. We need to take that attitude to the world. We'll stand up for ourselves. We are fair. We are a very fair people. Our government may not be terribly fair to other governments at times, as is reversed on us as well. But the people of Australia are good, honest, fair people. We will give everybody a fair go. And even if you screw it up, even if you bite us in some way, shape or form, rob, steal, beg, borrow, whatever, we will still give you another go. We will give you the opportunity to prove yourself, not endlessly. Because if you are given the opportunity 2 or 3 times and you choose not to accept the opportunity, or you take a different route with that opportunity and try and rip the people off, then the Australian people will not allow that either. And I think the world could learn a great deal from the way that Australians deal with this kind of bullshit. Now, I know there are many of us that sit back and do nothing, and will continue to sit back and do nothing, cheer from the bleachers, and that's fine. Many people aren't able to do much, whether it be age or physical circumstance or whatever. But for those that are able to do, for those that are able to see, for those that are able to help, we have a duty to do that. And we have a duty to show the rest of the world how to do it. You've got to understand, Australia is a very young country. Our brainwashing is only 224 years old. What about Europe, where their brainwashing has gone back thousands, well, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not well over 1,000 years? Their brainwashing is deep. And that's where the rest of it has all run out of. They've honed their brainwashing skills on the mass populations in Europe. And Australia essentially became a slave project to the British Empire. You can call it what you will, but the reality of it is we were a slave project and a containment project, a control project for the British Empire. And sadly, we remain that way. Don't believe me? Well, I think there are some documents that were found in a deserted jail library on a prison island in Victoria that might change your mind on that. And I can't wait to hear more about those documents. I know Guru is very keen to find out more about them as well. What are those documents? Well, if you didn't watch the interview I did with Tim Dwyer the other day, please go back and watch it. There is some very interesting things that have been discovered. Oh, I can tell you, it's no big secret, but the importance of it may be lost on you. The Hansard documents for 1973, Hansard being the record of everything that is spoken in the Parliament, in both houses. Both Hansard records for 1973-74, which are not allowed to be removed from the National Archive or the Parliamentary Archive once they've been established. These records, these Hansard pages, these Hansard books were found in a deserted, abandoned, about to be torn down prison farm library on French Island in Victoria. French Island still only accessible by ferry. It's down near Phillip Island, for those of you that are wondering where. And I want to say the prison was called McDonald Prison Farm. It wasn't a high security prison. It was a farm where the prisoners could get out, work on the island with cattle and sheep and whatever else was on there. And I don't believe there were too many fences to keep them locked in, because at the end of the day they were on French islands surrounded by water, and in that water many, many, many seals and many, many, many great white sharks. It's a great white shark breeding area down there. Nursery, if you like, because there's so many seals, there's so much food. So, not an ideal place if you were going to do an Alcatraz and try and swim off it. You wouldn't have made it. You would have been shark food. So, why were the Hansard documents in that library? And in particular, that prison was closed in 1975. Does that start ringing any bells for you? It should. Hansard documents are not allowed to be removed from the Parliament or from the National Archives. You can go and view them, but you can't take them. These were removed and hidden, buried, in a place so remote that, ordinarily no one would ever think to go looking there for this kind of stuff, of course. That's where they put this sort of shit. They don't want us to find it, but they can't destroy it. So Timothy's crew, I should say the crew who are working on this, plus Tim, because Tim is more on the side of this than a part of it, they're working hard on this. This is really big stuff, folks. This is the proof of what Gough Whitlam did in 1973. What did Gough Whitlam do? Well, you're a bit behind the game if you don't understand what Gough Whitlam did in 1973. But he had a lot to do with removing Australia from the Commonwealth. A lot of people don't understand or believe that, but that's exactly what happened. It's how Australia became a corporatised entity, thanks to Gough Whitlam. At any rate, it is what it is. We fight on regardless. It is a little early in the morning, so I'm surprised so many people are up. Hello, Angelina. 12 Tribes of Israel, personal accountant, 100% right. Gay, those documents could blow the lid off the politicians' lies. It would do more than blow the lid off the politicians' lies, Gay. It would expose exactly what happened, I think, because it had to be voted on in the parliaments, and the Hansard documents record everything. So we would know word for word what was said. It would be a very important document to read. I would love to read it. Hello, Bradford. How's things up on the mountain in your place this morning, my friend? I hope things are going well. For those of you who are not aware, Bradford is a galactic Larry Can, and also, given his blue status, one of our moderators. There you go. I didn't know I'd made you a mod. Bradford has a magnificent property. I don't know that he's done the hard launch yet. Have you done the hard launch yet? But they have a magnificent property up in Mullaney. If you're ever looking for a B&B getaway or something like that, get in touch if you happen to know somebody. And if you are a train spotter, train freak, train lover, that kind of thing, on Bradford's property they have two train carriages that have been refurbed back to either late 1800s or early 1900s. The boys have just finished those, and they are, I've seen some pictures, truly magnificent. So if you are into that sort of style of a weekend away, then Bradford might be your boy to try and help you out. Dave, how does any of this help the betterment of humanity? How does this help fix what's happening here in Australia? Seems to be a lot of quick talking, no evidence, just speculation and conjecture. I don't know which part you're actually referring to there, but the betterment of humanity, I think we can be bettered by having the truth told to us. How can you be your best if the thing you are basing your life on is a lie and changes everything? Now, I don't know that the world is ready for the kind of change that could come about with this kind of thing, Dave. And I think you're right. There'll be a lot of people who would be reticent to immediately leap out of the system and into what at this point in time, at any rate, is perceived to be anarchy. There won't be anarchy. All right? If the government is brought down, there won't be anarchy. There might be a few people who get a bit upset and start throwing a few things, but it's not going to last long, and it will be put down by the people, because we are not going to engender or empower another bunch of bullies to ride over the top of us. But that requires strong people on our side, not people who say, oh, woe is me. It requires people who are prepared to stand up and do the talking. And there was great evidence of that last weekend in Sydney. And Cherie was a classic example of it. She did not take a backward step. All right, it may not have been executed in the best way, but that is the kind of warrior we need, somebody who doesn't take a backward step. What we need, though, is to focus the warriors' shots in the right direction so that they're not wasted. I keep saying to people who say they've got a solution, or I'm going to blow this thing or that mob out of the water or this, it's like, well, hang on. You've got this great weapon. You've got this great bit of news, information, technology, whatever, that only you have, and you want to share that to the betterment of the people. A lot of the people aren't going to accept the fact that you using it for their betterment is the right thing to do. And what is the point of having this weapon and firing it? I use a cannon analogy. What's the point of having a cannon with the biggest cannonball in the world, able to kill everybody on the battlefield? What's the point of aiming it at the battlefield and firing the cannon into the battlefield when there's nobody on it? And that is, I'm afraid, what I believe tends to be happening for a variety of reasons. One being, we don't know the battlefield. We think we know the battlefield, or at least we thought we knew the battlefield. But now, today, we realize the battlefield is very different. Today, we know that some of the allies we thought we had, we definitely don't have, and that they have been masquerading as allies of we the people for a very long time, when in fact, they have been the operational arm of them, the corporation. I'm referring here specifically to police. We the people have no enforcement arm. We the people have no justice. We the people have absolutely no right to expect to be treated fairly in any court in this country. Why? Because the judiciary is corrupted by the politic that appointed them. The police are corrupted by the politic that appointed them. Those running the police, those in the judiciary, know they are working for a corporation, not the Australian people. Now, whether or not the young people who are joining the police forces today, or the Guptas that are signing up by the thousands coming out of India wanting to be police here, God help us if that ever. I mean, Melbourne's already been taken over by Indians, and the Victorian Premier has already been back to India just recently to encourage more. They are diluting Australia's national culture, national identity, by flooding us with subcontinent folks who come from a well-moneyed middle class, who have money, able to buy your home out from underneath you after the bank has taken it from you. It's not just Indians. There are a lot of other groups coming into Australia, but predominantly Sri Lankans, Indians, and Africans are the big ones that Australia is sucking in at the moment, to the tune of about 1 million plus a year. Don't believe the lies that it's 200 or 300,000. It's over 1 million people a year they are sucking into this system. And you are seeing the result of that every day as you drive over bridges, ignoring the people sleeping under them, living rough. Take a drive up the Bruce Highway. See how many camps there are along the side of the road where people are living. I've got to say, some of those communities are just magnificent communities. They're very friendly, great bunch of people. We all know what we're fighting for. And it's not a bad place to be out there. It's not a scary place to be, I can tell you. There's a lot of love out there on the road. But what are we going to do? How do we show that we can support those that will fight for us? How can we show we support them? How can we show we will fight with them? Because so far, it doesn't look like there's any will to stand up and fight politically. So why on earth would we think that there was any will to stand up and fight any other way? Is this just entertainment for the masses while we go through the mouse maze of our life, doing what they want us to do? God, how fucking disappointing is that? Or are we just so lazy we don't care? Are we just so focused on ourselves we just don't care? New set of golf clubs, new car, overseas holiday, private school for the kids. I know we've all got a lot of worries. We've all got a lot of things, a lot of commitments. But unless we start making our first commitment to this country and ourselves, we're stuffed. Unless we start making a commitment to this country and ourselves, we will never get an enforcement arm. We will never convince those good police, those good Defence Force members, with the ability to make change, to join us. Because at the moment they see a weak rabble with just a few people willing to stand up. I implore you folks, consider being the person in your community to stand up for it, to represent your community's feelings, thoughts and opinions. We need to build this up, folks. If we don't, we just resign the whole thing and I'll just go cutting wood for the rest of my life. Because I quite enjoy it. The whole bullshit that's going on at the moment, I don't feel any fear about a third world war. I don't feel any... I feel disgust at the Israelis for what I see as a propagation of war. I see them now, not all Jews, but I see the Israelis leading that country at the moment as warmongers. I see them as exactly what they are and have always been. Talmud followers, destined to make sure that we, the Goyim, the cattle, are never, ever allowed to gain a foot of strength. Well, this Goyim is going to fight back.